Hi there, I'm Gavin Coulthard from Swimlane. Today, what I'd like to do is walk you through a particularly interesting use case. And it not only demonstrates our capabilities as a flexible automation solution, but this use case also leverages our application builder and our reporting engine to demonstrate how it can be used as a system of record. And in this instance, it's for the management and control of audit processes across multiple compliance frameworks. So let's get started. Here we can see I've got my secure controls framework dashboard. I can see that I have a superset of all of the controls that are available to me right across all of the frameworks that are available. I can see instantly which ones are ready for review, which ones the audit is completing, and which ones the auditing process is still underway. Drilling further down, I can see this superset then filtered by particular control frameworks. So I can see my NIST 853 control status and all of the controls on whether they're met, partially met, not met, etc. I can see how this overlaps with my ISO 27001 control status. And because I'm in Australia, I can also see my ACSC Essential 8 control status. I can also see how the evidence is being demonstrated for each of the controls, and I can see that managed by type. Which ones are monitored within the Swimlane Turbine platform through automation, which ones are manual uploads, e.g. policy documents, etc., and which ones have a reference URL to the managing service. So let's dig into my NIST 853 controls, and I want to see the ones that are met. It instantly takes me to all of the records that are relevant for NIST 853 controls where the controls have been met. I'll demonstrate by showing the first one here. Now we have the three phases of the auditing process. We have the control catalog, we have the evidence mapping, and we have the control status, where it's at. So within the control catalog, I can see my reference number, the domain that it's under, the reference control. I have a discussion area where we can talk amongst the auditors and amongst all of those that are managing these controls as to where things are at. I can reference the objective and the recommended methods from SCF on how this control should be met. I can also see within my compliance matrix, if I meet this control, what other frameworks am I then compliant under? So I can see it applies to NIST 853, but it also applies to APRA CPS 234, which is a compliance requirement in Australia. I can also see that this applies with the Australian ISM and the New Zealand ISM. So by matching or meeting this control in one environment, I can also meet that simultaneously across other control mechanisms as well. I also have a reference here for the capability maturity model and what is required for CMM 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for this particular control. Now, if I dig into evidence mapping, I can now show or demonstrate how I can actually prove out that we've met this control. I've got my title, or we've got my description, we've got what the question is that needs to be answered. And now down here, because this is a policy document, I've chosen manual upload. I could choose monitored in Swimlane, I could choose an evidence URL, or it could be referenced in another control as well, so we can provide linkage and correlation between other controls. This is submitted by, and this was the last evidence timestamp. So we can manage this over time and provide tracking over time as well. The evidence description, I'm referring to my attached policy document, and in my manual evidence, I have my configuration asset management policy, and I can refer to that as it's embedded within the record as a single source of truth. So there is all my evidence proving out that we have met this control. Under the control status, we can manage the life cycle of the audit process. So we can move it through from not applicable to not started, in progress, ready for review, ready for audit, and audit complete. We can see who the owner of this particular control is, the status, whether it's met partially or not met, and all of the timelines are associated with that. So that then feeds back into our dashboard and provides an instant view of exactly where we're at in terms of compliance across all of these different frameworks. From an automation perspective, let's look at asset inventories. Similarly, we can see all of the compliance frameworks that this particular control aligns with. Again, we can see all of the evidence. If we move into evidence mapping, we can see the control description. We can also see the evidence here is monitored in Turbine. And now I have my reference to my evidence in Turbine. So here, the evidence is provided by Microsoft Intune. So what I have is an application that automatically grabs the device management or the device policy report out of Intune on a weekly basis. And I can see here all my records. I have 3 machines in my environment, and I can see which ones are compliant, which ones are non-compliant instantly with that. So that provides my evidence and my linkage all the way through to my Microsoft Intune platform. From my control status, I can see that some of them are not compliant, so I'll move that to partially met. My audit is complete. And these are all of the times and dates, and this particular control is owned by the site, so let's just save that as well. So that gives us a mechanism to take data from any of the controls and services that reside within your environment, whether it be Microsoft, whether it be CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, anything that provides that information. We store that historically within another application within Swimlane, and then use that as the dynamic reference for all of these controls, so we can see automatically where we're up to in terms of being compliant with that control. Let's go back to the dashboard and we can see our control status. Another thing we can do is, because we're mapping across a superset of all of the controls, we can actually filter these as well. So let's look at all of my controls in progress. I have my filter up here. What I'd like to do is actually look at my ISO 27001 controls and cross-correlate that with my NIST controls, NIST 853, where the field is not blank as well. Now this gives me all of the controls filtered that not only correlate to ISO 27001, but also NIST 853. So by doing this across different compliance frameworks, I can instantly get a gap analysis as to which controls I've already met for a particular new framework or compliance requirement, which ones also still need work. So there we have it. That's a quick demonstration of the flexibility and capability of Swimlane's Turbine automation platform, and that it extends beyond just simple automations, but also can be used as a system of reference or a system of record for compliance tracking and management. I hope this has been of interest, and thank you for your time.